Peace be upon you. It is one of the best books I have read in my life, a novel I have always read. What do you think the name of this novel is? It is the book of The Alchemist, and in this video we will get acquainted with the book of alchemy. But before we start, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel until all new arrives. 1. An overview of the book of Alchemist. The Alchemist is an allegorical novel by Paulo Coelho, first published in 1988. It tells about the story of the young Spanish shepherd, Santiago, on his journey to fulfill his dream, which was repeated more than once, which revolves around a treasure buried in the pyramids in Egypt. And behind this dream, Santiago went to meet on his journey excitement, opportunities, humiliation, luck and love. And he understands life from another perspective, which is the spirit of the universe. It has been praised by critics and classified as one of the masterpieces of contemporary literature. The writer was inspired by the plot of the story from Borges' short tale, The Tale of Two Dreamers. The novel was written in Brazil and was in Portuguese, and the book had 181 pages. The novel has been translated into 81 languages, making it a Guinness Book of Records entry for the author's most translated book alive. It has sold 210 million copies in more than 170 countries, making it one of the best-selling books of all time. 2. An overview of the author of the book Alchemy. Paulo Coelho was born in Rio de Janeiro in 1947 into a well-off family. His father was an engineer, and his mother was a Catholic woman of great faith and spirituality. He studied in nun schools and then joined the University of Law, but he abandoned his studies after traveling with the hippies to a number of European and American countries. He is a famous songwriter in his 60s. When he went to Spain in 1986, he took the more than 500 miles of Santiago route. This crossing was the turning point in his life, which he described in his autobiography Al-Hajj, which had the greatest impact on the book that followed Al-Hajj's novel, The Alchemy. The hero of the story is Santiago, the same name as the road he crossed. In one of the press interviews, Coelho said, "The Alchemy novel is a metaphor from my life. I wrote it in 1988, at this time I was happy with the things that I was doing. I was doing something that gives me food and water. As a metaphor in my book, I used to work and had the person I loved and had money, but I did not fulfill my dream which was, and still is, to be a writer." 3. Novel summary. The novel talks about the story of the Andalusian shepherd Santiago, who went in search of his dream of a treasure buried near the pyramids of Egypt. His journey began in Spain when he met King Melchizedek, who told him about the treasure. Across the Strait of Gibraltar, past Morocco, until he reached Egypt, and metaphysical signs encountered him throughout the journey. On his way to find his dream treasure, many events happened to him, each of which has become an obstacle that almost prevents him from continuing his journey, until he finds a means to help him overcome this obstacle. He is robbed twice, works in a crystal shop, accompanies an Englishman, who wants to become an alchemist, searches for his personal legend, witnesses wars raging between tribes, until he meets the alchemist who knows the great secrets, who urges him to go towards his treasure. At the same time, he meets Fatima, his great love, and a conflict rages within him between staying with his sweetheart and continuing to search for his treasure. Fatima advises him to go after his dream and promises to wait for him in the desert. During these events, the bond between this patron and the universe tightens until he becomes familiar with the language of the universe and understands its signs. The novel reaches its plot when a tribe of the desert captures Santiago and the alchemist's escort, as the relationships between Santiago and the universe is put to the test. But he passes the tester and escapes death. Then the two men continue their journey until he finally arrives alone at the pyramids, only to discover that what awaits him is another sign of his treasure. 4. Philosophy of the novel. We can summarize the issues and topics dealt within the novel in 2 issues. Namely the issue of stability and travel, and then the issue of personal myth. With regard to the first, it reveals to us the tension that a person experiences between a desire to settle down and live in a state of travel and travel. In this first case, A person wants to work in a specific place and be associated with certain people, and thus the world will become narrow, as well as his relationships and feelings. The events of the book also revolve around the concept of a personal myth that Santiago hears from the king of Salem, meaning Jerusalem, who told him, "It is what I always wished you would do." Each of us knows in his early youth what his personal myth is. Then he explains what he said. Because there is a great truth in this world, whatever you are, whatever you do, when you sincerely want something, this desire is born in the spirit of the world, that is your message on earth. The king informs Santiago of the importance of horoscopes on his journey or in his life, for everyone's awareness of his personal myth. In the end, we hope that you liked the video and do not forget to subscribe to the channel until everything new arrives, and bye bye.